Hi everyone, and welcome back to Unfiltered, where I discuss my real, raw, and unfiltered opinions about all different kinds of music. I'm your host Sophie, and today we're reviewing an album from the band Arctic Monkeys. Just before we get into today's episode, I would like to mention that everything I'm about to say is my personal opinion, and I understand if you don't agree with me. Now, before we get into the reviewing part, like usual, I thought it would be nice to talk about the artist and their background as well as the background of the album. The Arctic Monkeys, formed of Alex Turner, Jamie Cook, Nick O'Malley, who joined in 2006 after Andy Nicholson left, and Matt Helders, are a British indie rock band formed in Sheffield, England in 2002. They rose to fame in the mid 2000s and are considered one of the most influential bands of their generation. And today we're going to be reviewing Humbug. Humbug is the third studio album by Arctic Monkeys, released in August 2009. It marks a major stylistic shift for the band, moving away from the fast-paced indie rock of their early work and diving into darker, more psychedelic territory. Now let's get on with it. Number 1, My Propeller. My Propeller isn't interested in rushing you in, it pulls you under. It's a slow, seductive descent into the darker, more mature sonic world Arctic Monkeys unveiled on Humbug, and it makes that transition crystal clear from the first moment. The beat crawls, the bassline loops like a circling predator. Alex delivers each line with a hushed sort of desperation, like someone trying to stay in control but unraveling sentence by sentence. There's restraint in the instrumentation, but the tension is the point. It builds atmosphere rather than release. Lyrically, it's layered in innuendo, subtle eroticism, and emotional detachment. That ambiguity is part of the track's allure. It keeps the card close, seducing the listener with what it doesn't say outright. This isn't the Monkeys of Dance Floor, or even 505. It's a colder, more calculated mood, where the power lies not in the noise, but in the spaces between sounds, the silence, the drawl of something broken yet oddly in control. As an opener, My Propeller doesn't just set the tone, it warns you. This is not the same band anymore. Altogether, My Propeller is a brooding, hypnotic opening that trades urgency for tension. It whispers instead of shouts, and somehow that's more unnerving. Number 2, Crying Lightning. Where My Propeller creeps, Crying Lightning stalks. It's eerie and unsettling from the start. An angular, bass-driven track that perfectly captures the strange charm of Humbug. This is Arctic Monkeys diving headfirst into the uncanny, poetic, brooding, and a little bit sinister. Musically, it's built on a heavy, sludgy groove. The guitars don't strut like they did on Favourite Worst Nightmare, they slither, winding around each one like a vine in the dark. Matt Helder's drumming is tight and sharp, cutting through the haze with militaristic precision. Alex Turner's lyricism here is barbed and brilliant. He paints a surreal portrait of a woman, part memory, part myth, who's manipulative, magnetic, and maybe just a projection of his own guilt. The crying lightning metaphor is ambiguous. It suggests sudden emotional volatility, romantic turmoil, or just the kind of person who cries while striking back. It's cold, clever, and strangely emotional beneath the surface. Creepy, cool, and endlessly quotable. Crying Lightning is Arctic Monkeys at their most theatrical and untrustworthy, telling a story that's both magnetic and totally unreliable. It feels like being pulled into a dream where nothing is quite what it seems and loving it anyway. Number 3, Dangerous Animals. Dangerous Animals is lust personified. It's dark, heavy, and unmistakably predatory. It slinks in with a coiled energy, like a stalking panther, and never really explodes, but instead it thrums with restraint, letting its menace linger just under the surface. Musically, it's all distorted bass, chugging guitars, and an unsettling background texture. The groove is primal and repetitive, almost hypnotic, while the guitar licks, scratches, and claws like something lurking in the shadows. It's not quite rock and roll swagger, it's something more reptilian. Alex Turner's lyrics are full of coded sexuality and cryptic obsession, delivered with a mix of lust and dread. He literally spells out dangerous during the chorus like a demented cheerleader chant, a taunt that makes you want to look over your shoulder. There's very little warmth here. It's a lustful hunt, not a romance, and it's terrifyingly good at making that clear. Dangerous Animals walks the line between seduction and danger like it was born there. It's sultry, sharp, and strange, like a hallucination you just can't shake. And personally for me, this definitely makes it one of Humbug's most visceral tracks. Number 4, Secret Door. After the primal throb of dangerous animals, Secret Door feels like floating in a memory, bittersweet, disillusional, and laced with quiet heartbreak. It's one of Humbug's most melancholic and melodic moments, offering a break from the album's darker, psych rock pulse, but still soaked in the shadows. The track opens with dreamy guitar arpeggios that shimmer like broken chandeliers. It feels wistful from the start, like a sigh before a storm. There's almost a baroque sadness in the melody, yet the song doesn't lean into the drama. It's reserved and regretful, and that makes it cut deeper. Alex's lyrics drift between nostalgia and disappointment, as if he's observing a world that once excited him, now dulled by artificence. The secret door could be an escape route from fame, from people, from himself, or just a way back to something purer that no longer exists. The chorus sounds romantic at first, but in context is more like a resigned illusion. Turner isn't buying it anymore. There's beauty, but it's all fading. Secret Door is Humbug's emotional heart. It doesn't beg for attention, it lingers, like perfume on a letter you never sent. Beautiful, bruised, and subtly devastating. Number 5, Potion Approaching. Potion Approaching is one of the songs on Humbug that's more untamed and primal than others, a hypnotic, snarling trip to obsession, ego, and twisted romance. It's a track that slaps you out of the dreamlike haze of Secret Door and throws you back into the wild with dirty riffs and manic energy. Right away, you feel the desert rock influence of the co-producer Josh Homme. The guitars are muddy and monstrous. The rhythm chugs like a possessed machine, and Turner's vocals teeter between incantation and frustration. It's like listening to someone chant their way through a fever dream. Lyrically, it's cryptic but emotionally raw. The phrasing, potion approaching, itself is bizarre, but captures the feeling of being under a spell, drawn to someone, or something intoxicating and dangerous. There's madness in Turner's delivery, especially in the final repetition. He sounds like he's on the edge of unraveling. One of the most interesting things here is how the arrangement unravels as it goes spiraling deeper into distortion, dissonance, and intensity, like the song is collapsing in on itself. It's theatrical, a little scary, but yet totally magnetic. Potion Approaching is Humbug's loud, messy outburst. It's a sweaty, psychedelic freakout that feels like a panic attack set to fuzzed out guitars. It's not for everyone, but for those who like their music unhinged, it's a wild ride. Number 6, Fire in the Thud. Fire in the Thud is the calmest storm on Humbug. It's brooding, slow burning, and beautifully haunting. It dials back the aggression of Potion Approaching and instead leans into emotional weight and vulnerability with a creeping tension that never quite breaks. The track opens in a near whisper, and for the first few seconds there's a sense of something sacred and secret. The guitar work is delicate but menacing. The production leaves space for shadows to move in between the notes. There's a cold beauty in here, something aching and cinematic. Lyrically, Turner is at his most internal and confessional, pondering fame, safety, longing, and the creeping sense that something real is always just out of reach. Some lyrics are quietly devastating, a plea delivered with clenched teeth wrapped in poise. There's also an underlying conflict between what's wanted and what's safe, between longing and the fear of disruption. Alison Mosshart contributes backing vocals to the track, and her presence deepens the ghostly mood. You don't hear her distinctly, but you feel her, like a shadow moving just behind Turner. Fire in the Thud is Humbug's quietest track, but possibly its most powerful. It's not flashy or loud, it's a song that hides its heartbreak in plain sight, aching in the spaces between the words, deeply textured and emotionally complex. Number 7, Cornerstone. Cornerstone is Humbug's clearest ray of light, but still wrapped in melancholy. It stands out from the rest of the album not because it's cheerful, it isn't, but because it's disarmingly tender, wearing its sadness with a soft sort of resigned charm. Musically, it's simple and clean, warm guitar tones, understated percussion, and Turner's voice laying bare in the centre. It has a 1960s jangle pop feel to it, almost nostalgic, like something you'd hear in a lonely jukebox in a forgotten pub. But don't let the sweetness fool you. The lyrics are aching and strange. A story of someone trying to find the pieces of a lost love in the face of strangers. He visits different women, each resembling her a little bit, asking if he can call her by her name. It's emotionally unbalanced, even delusional, but so beautifully delivered that it's sad rather than creepy. It's the sound of a man who knows he's not over her and maybe never will be. Cornerstone is vulnerable, self-aware, and haunting. It's one of the most emotionally accessible Arctic Monkeys tracks, and in the middle of Humbug's murkiness, it glows like an ember. Cornerstone is quietly perfect. the kind of song that sneaks up on you, gentle but emotionally brutal. A melancholy daydream disguised as a pop tune. Vulnerability has never sounded so smooth. Number 8, Dance Little Liar. By the time Humbug reaches Dance Little Liar, the mask is slipping. This song feels like the moral hangover after all the lust, mystery, and illusions from earlier tracks. Cold, calculated, and chillingly introspective, it's not loud or chaotic, but it creeps under your skin and refuses to leave. Musically, it's built on a slow burning, almost hypnotic groove, full of clean guitar tones, suspended tension, and whispered malice. The rhythm section is steady and restrained, with Matt Hilda's drums ticking like a nervous pulse. The instrumental breaks down, shimmer with menace. It feels like truth circling the drain, refusing to be looked at directly. Alex Turner's lyrics are more direct here than anything else on the album. The liar could be a character, a lover, or even himself, and the dance is the performance we put on to avoid accountability. Turner's delivery is cold, almost surgical, as he dismantles layers of deception. It's a brutal but poetic autopsy of dishonesty, the lies we tell, the ones we believe, and how those lies rot us from inside out. Dance Little Liar is a masterclass in slow burning menace. It's not flashy, it doesn't need to be. The song simmers with guilt, control, and self destruction, a quietly devastating moment on an already shadowy record. Number 9, Pretty Visitors. Pretty Visitors is the sharpest blade on Humbug. It's frantic, theatrical, and totally unhinged. It's a jolt of adrenaline after the slow burning Dance Little Liar, and easily one of the most chaotic and captivating tracks in the Arctic Monkey discography. The song opens with an iconic church organ style keyboard riff. Sounds like a Twisted Circus introduction before the guitars and drums come crashing in with dizzying speeds. The pace is relentless, the verses are machine gun fast, with Alex Turner spitting lines like a street preacher possessed. Lyrically, it's dense and surreal, like a nightmare rendered in poetry. The Pretty Visitors could be fans, critics, ghosts of desire, or all three. Turner references voyeurism, performance, and manipulation blur into a fevered dream of paranoia and spectacle. The bridge pulls back just long enough to breathe before the final assault. A quick spiral down, then bang, it's over. You feel a little dazed, maybe even dizzy at the end. Pretty Visitors is Humbug's most explosive track. It's a whirlwind of noise, sarcasm, and spectacle. It's sharp, strange, and unforgettable. A thrillingly deranged high point. Number 10, The Jeweler's Hands. If Humbug is a descent into the shadowy underworld, then The Jeweler's Hands is its final ritual, as if the creep doors slowly closing behind you. It's a fitting ending to an album built on illusion, temptation, and twisted self-reflection. The track doesn't seek closure, it embraces the unknown. Sonically, it's hypnotic. The reverb-drenched guitars, crawling bass line, and desert-dry percussion creates a vast, echoing space, like walking through an empty cathedral at midnight. The vibe is somber, yet sensual, and the groove loops you in like a spell, circling you deeper into introspection. Lyrically, the jeweler is a metaphorical figure, someone or something who shapes and manipulates, crafting you into what the world sees. Turner's delivery is hushed and otherworldly, like he's speaking from beyond the veil. There's both sarcasm and submission here, as if he's exhausted from resisting. The song isn't about redemption or clarity, it's about surrendering to the strangeness of transformation. It ends not with escape, but with resignation. The trap's already sprung, and he's no longer trying to wriggle free. The Jeweler's Hands is a mesmerizing ending, a lullaby of loss of self. It leaves you suspended in uncertainty, unsure of where you're been or where you're even going. It doesn't wrap Humbug with a bow, it lets the whole album dissolve like smoke. And here's my overall review of the album. When Arctic Monkeys released Humbug in 2009, it felt like stepping into a mirror and seeing a distorted reflection of the band we thought we knew. Gone were the lightning-fast quips of northern nightlife and youthful bravo, but in their place was a slower, stranger, and far more atmospheric sound. Co-produced by Josh Holmes in the Mojave Desert, the result is an album that's seductive, unsettling, and entirely transformational. Musically, Humbug trades in punchy indie rock for something smokier and more sinister. It draws from desert rock, psychedelia, and noir. Guitars are drenched in reverb and fuzz. Tempo crawls where they once sprinted. There's a constant sense of claustrophobia and desire, a seductive murk that lingers from the first note to the last. It's a band coming out of age in the dark, stretching their sound and their souls. Even the tracks that feel odd or a little cold at first, like Secret Door or Dance Little Liar, eventually bloom into something hypnotic and essential. Humbug is Arctic Monkey's most underrated and essential transformation. It's a record about embracing strangeness and about leaning into discomfort, sensuality, and darkness. It may not shout like their debut, but it haunts. What begins as a left turn becomes the blueprint for everything bold that followed, and this is why my final rating for Humbug is a 9.3 out of 10. And sadly, that's all we have again for today's episode of Artists Unfiltered. Like usual, I'll leave a link in the description down below for you to listen to today's album, and don't forget to tell me all your opinions of it in the comments below. You can find us at all our social media pages at Artists Unfiltered for more content, and I'll see you this time on Thursday with the new album. Don't forget, if you ever have an album you want to hear about on the podcast, we have a Google form for suggestions on our Linktree, which is available on all our social media platforms. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the podcast, and I'll see you next time. Bye now!